Hi all, today we are taking notes on the day 1 factoring review. So you should have already watched the video about day 0 factoring. Okay, here's a list of what you did in day 0. You factored out the greatest common factor, you factored the difference of two squares, and then you did the product sum factoring. Today we're going to do greatest common factor again, and we're going to do product sum split the middle. So here's our greatest common factor example. Anytime you start factoring, the first thing you need to look for is the greatest common factor. So here we have three terms, x cubed, negative 5x squared, and negative 6. All of these terms have an x, so we're going to factor out one x. When we factor out an x, we're left with x squared, subtract 5x, subtract 6. Now we need to determine if this term that's left is factorable. This is a product sum, which you guys did before. We're looking for two numbers whose product is negative 6, so they multiply to negative 6, and whose sum is negative 5. Making a list of factors of negative 6, we have negative 6, positive 1, positive 6, negative 1, negative 2, positive 3, negative 3, positive 2. Because it's a negative 6, we need one negative, one positive. Here are the two factors that are going to multiply to negative 6 and add to be negative 5. When we factor then, we have x subtract 6, x add 1, and we need to remember to bring down this x that we factored out before. So this is our final answer of the factored form. So on your homework tonight, make sure anytime you go to factor, you first factor out the greatest common factor. Okay, here's our product sum, split the middle example. Okay, so before you looked for the product of negative 4 and the sum of 7. Now we have a lead coefficient other than 1. So before you just saw 1x squared, now we have 2x squared. So you need to multiply the 2 and the negative 4 to get negative 8. This is the product you are looking for. So you are looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 8. And then this middle one is still the sum. So two numbers that multiply to negative 8, but that add to be 7, positive 7. Those numbers are going to be positive 8 and negative 1. Now this is called split the middle because we want to rewrite this middle term. So 2x squared stays the same. Now instead of writing 7x, we're going to write positive 8x subtract 1x, and then subtract 4. So our expression stayed the same, but now we have 8x subtract 1x instead of this 7x. From here, you want to put a line down the middle. We're going to factor the left side and factor the right side. On the left side, our greatest common factor is 2x. We're then left with x add 4. Right side, we have negative 1x subtract 4. Our greatest common factor is negative 1. We're left with x add 4. Now here's where you need to do a check to make sure you're on the right track. These two sets of parentheses should match. If they don't match, then you did something wrong. Because ours match, we know that we're on the right track. One last step to factoring. You want to rewrite that double set of parentheses, this x plus 4. Your other set of parentheses comes from here and from here. So that set of parentheses becomes 2x subtract 1. So this is our final factored form. Remember to check your answer. You can multiply that back out again, and you should get the expression 2x squared add 7x subtract 4. Okay, we have one more example to do. We're going to do that same example using the guess and check method. Some of you have probably learned this before, some of you have not. So in order to do the guess and check method, you make a big X. These two parts, you need two terms that are going to multiply to 2x squared. The only two factors of 2 are 2 and 1, and then we have x and x. So 2x multiplied by 1x is going to give us 2x squared. Over here, we need two numbers that multiply to -4. So those options would be -4 and +1, +4 and -1, +2 and -2. Those are our three options. Let's try the last one, 2 and -2. We have 2 and -2. Now what you're going to do is multiply across. 2x multiplied by 2 is 4x. 1x multiplied by -2 is -2x. When I add these, I end up with 2x. What I want is 7x. So that +2 and -2 were not the correct answer. So I'm going to erase those and we're going to try again. Okay, so we know that this was not right. Now we have 4 and -1. Multiplying across, 2x multiplied by 4 is 8x. X multiplied by -1 is -x. When we add these, we get 7x, which is exactly what we wanted in the beginning. Our factors are now these diagonals. So we have 2x subtract 1, and then this diagonal, which is x add 4. And if you notice, this is exactly the answer that we got in the example that we did before this. Okay, that was the day 1 factoring review.